Hey there friends, welcome back to my channel. We are continuing on with our August Crash Your Stash series, and this particular project was very much requested. I shared a 4x4 mini album in my previous video, and so many people requested a tutorial for that. Although we have covered this in the past, I will just go ahead and revisit this base because I did make one change that is worth mentioning as we work along. So we're gonna make this 4x4 chunky fall mini album today as part of our Crash Our Stash series. We have lots of pages here that are full-size flips as well as journal card size tip-ins, and this little book is so chunky and thick and lovely. So make sure that you stay tuned to the end because we're going to have a quick update on our Halloween 13 Days of Halloween series coming up here in September, and you want to make sure to have those details for that. So stick with me and we will make this together. I'm working with this Colors of Autumn Hot by Paper pad from Michaels. I did pick this up last year, so it works perfectly for our Crash Your Stash theme for August, and I really enjoy the warm, rich colors of this paper pad. There's quite a few pages that have foiling. There are some beautiful cut apart journal cards, as well as patterns that work really well for smaller project, even though this is a 12 by 12 pad. So I'm gonna get lots of use out of this, and so that is what we're working with today. To begin assembling the base for our book today, I'm gonna start with 65-pound weight cardstock, and I have 4 pieces that are cut to be 4 inches high by 8¼ inches wide. I scored it at 4 and also 4 1/4. So this will give us a finished page size of 4-inch square, and then each section will have 1/4 inch built in to accommodate the bulk of all the layers that we want to add. So for my first piece, I do have my double-sided adhesive on one side, and I've already removed that backing. For the pages, I want to have my 2 glue combination just so that I am confident it is well secured, and that double-sided adhesive will keep it in place while the glue sets up. So I just want to go ahead and join these pages right along the corner. Then I'll position the side and bottom so I know it's on perfectly square. Then I will continue in that same process until I have adhered all 4 of the pieces. Okay, here is how it looks with all of the pieces assembled, and I have already added some adhesive to the front and the back. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and press this over so that I get all of that spine really flattened out. And then I want to remove the backing from one side only. I'm going to bring in my scoreboard now and the piece that will cover the outside. So this was just cut from an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So it's the full width of that. And then of course I cut it to be 4 inches high so that it will match the height of our book. I'm going to add more of my Tombow . And then go ahead and line this up, same as I did the pages on the inside, just matching that corner and then the side and the bottom as I go along. Then I'll press that whole middle section over and line that edge up with one of the grooves in my scoreboard and make a crease, and this will give me a nice crisp edge. And I'll fold that over and just kind of reinforce that score. So next what I want to do is add a little bit of my adhesive to this spine. I'm being very careful not to go too far out because I just don't want it to squish out and be on the top and bottom. So I'm just kind of adding a little bit there, and then I'll fold that over. This would be a good time to give it a little bit of pressure and be patient so that glue will set up. So when you see this continuing on, I'll have already waited that amount of time. So it's been quite a few minutes, and I went ahead and just left pressure on that glue while it sets up. But now I can go ahead and flip the pages to the opposite side and repeat the process from earlier. I'm just going to score along the edge so that I get that nice crisp fold, and fold this before you add the glue, just so you know it's lined up exactly where you want. And then remove the backing from the tape here as well. More Tombow. And go ahead and press that over one more time. So that double-sided adhesive will hold everything in place so we can continue to work along. Let's fold our pages back over the other way and remove the excess just by cutting along the edge of that last page. So now we have a perfect fit for our cover. Now that will help to cover the back of the spine and give it a more finished look, but we still want to add a little bit of structure to this so it will be more sturdy. So I've brought down a couple of pieces here that are 110-pound cardstock, and they are cut to be 4 high by 8 wide and scored at 4, and I have two, one for the front and one for the back. So I find it easier just to go ahead and pull the tape from one side first and add our second adhesive. Then I'm taking the portion that has the tape and lining it up so that it would be perfectly square and level, and then folding that over. And now I know that everything will line up just perfectly. Just go ahead and give that a minute of pressure, and then you can pull the tape from the other side. I'll go ahead and repeat this process for the back cover as well. But okay, so that's going to cover the basic shape of our book and the pages inside. Now I want to include some flip pages that will help to increase the amount of space we have on the inside of our book when we're finishing it. So I have 8 pieces here of 65-pound weight cardstock. It's cut to be 4 high by 8 wide and scored at 4. I have 2 for each section, and I've added adhesive to one side of each of these, and I'm going to continue to use my 2 glue combo. And I want these pages to fold out, so I'm going to leave my score line toward the outside and just go ahead and line up that corner, then the side and the bottom. As I do, kind of roll that page out so that you don't stick your fingers in the glue. And I'll do the same for this side, but I'll have my score line on the outside as well, so my pages will open outward. I'm going to go ahead and continue working on that, and then I'll meet back up with you when I've got that finished. I've got my flip pages all adhered now, so we'll have 4 sections, each with 2 flip pages. And while I was at it off camera, I decided to add some pattern paper to the spine. Just a little bit hard for me to see over the top because I'm quite short and I want to keep everything in frame as best I can. So I cut my pattern paper to be 3 7/8 by 7/8. I did add that to a piece of 110-pound cardstock, cut it back out, and then I added that with my 2 glue combo, and that will just give it a nice finished look on the outside. So let's go ahead and start working on the inside pages now. The nice thing about a book with the pages that are all the same size is you only need 1 set of measurements, and I have my pattern paper here cut to be 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and the cardstock is 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. I picked a nice chocolatey brown for the entire book just because I like how it coordinated with the warmer, richer colors of this paper pad. And so I'm just going to go ahead and center that. So on the book that I shared last week, there was one full-size flip page and one journal card tip-in. For this book, I did go ahead and add that additional page flip just so that I can get a little bit more space in my book and to make it a little bit chunkier. That covers the inside. So I did mention that I want to include a tip-in, and here is the image. I picked quite a few beautiful images from the book, and so this is cut to be 3 7/8 by 2 7/8, and then the tip-in itself is a 4 by 4 square scored at 3 and then folded over. And then I did cut an additional pattern for the inside, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and line that up and wrap it around, and this will be the final page for this section. So I'm lining up that tip-in because I know that it is 4 inches, so as long as I get that lined up along the outside, I know everything else will fall into place. So here's the section. It has 2 full page flips and then that tip-in. So I'll just continue to repeat that process until I have filled in the remaining 3 sections, and then I'll meet everyone back here when I'm all done. Okay, so here are all of my pages covered and all of those beautiful tip-ins and page flips. And I went ahead and covered the back as well just to keep things rolling along. Now I'm going to bring in my beautiful ribbon. This is taffeta ribbon from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and I will make sure to link that in the description below. I'm just measuring off a generous amount so that I can have a nice size bow. And I put a little bit of my double-sided tape there on the front so that I can stick it down and hold it into place. The next layer will be the cover, and I'll sandwich that trim between this front section and the base. So I've switched out to a larger plaid with the beautiful wheat on that mustardy background, and this is going to be our cover. Now the journal card cut-aparts had a very beautiful sentiment here in the foiling with a round border, so I just cut that out, and then I added it to that same chocolatey brown cardstock we've been using throughout, and then I popped that up on the spacer. So this is pretty large, and also so is my floral arrangement. Now I'm going to have to shift this all the way over. You'll see I don't have room for a doily, but I thought that was an okay sacrifice to get a beautiful arrangement. And I did create these with my Lawn Fawn leaves that I just picked up and one of my little birdie craft flowers, and I switched the center out so that I could add these gold double head stamens that sort of coordinate with my sentiment a little bit better. And then I switched out my twine. Instead of the ivory burlap that I typically use, I went for an antique gold, and that really helps to coordinate these fall colors. Just a little bit of netting in this, and then those beautifully shaped leaves that have a stitch detail. See, now it just fits right along the bottom there. And so I'm going to go ahead and adhere that with my hot glue. And then I've got a couple of sweet little pumpkin charms and a vintage button to finish off this corner. So because the sentiment falls kind of right in the middle, I'm able to position my charms so that I can add my button right onto the book base. And then I'll just lay those strings into that hot glue. Remove the excess. Cover those cut ends with this vintage button. And for this book, I've picked some fawn colored sequins, and I think they coordinate really beautifully. So I picked 3 there, and I'm just going to add those with my Tombow. Then I can just go ahead and tie up these beautiful ribbons, and that will be all for our 4x4 chunky fall mini album created for our August Crash Your Stash series. Okay, now for a quick update on our 13 Days of Halloween series. It's coming up very soon here in September. I've been waiting as patiently as I can for all the collections that I want to pick up to become available from scrapbook.com. And it looks like all of them so far have now been made okay to order, except the one that I most wanted, which was the Simple Stories Halloween collection for this year. It has it listed as coming soon in September, but it doesn't really narrow down that date any. It would be nice if it were the 1st, but we just don't know. And so I feel like I want to make sure and get my order in so that my supplies are on hand and I can get my projects planned and the schedule set so that I can get you guys the details that I want. So I think unfortunately this year I'm gonna have to skip on the Simple Stories collection just because of timing. And of course that also falls on a holiday weekend coming up here next weekend, and we'll be out of state. We're going to Kansas to go see Army's son and his wife. So I really want to nail down some of the details so that I can keep this project moving forward and get the details to you guys, and hopefully that haul video as well. So that's what we're going to do. And in the meantime, I think that we have all really enjoyed this Crash Your Stash series. I know I have loved getting some of my stash papers out and making room for new collections to come in. So I figure we'll just go ahead and continue on with that until we start the 13-day series. So just the next couple of weeks, we're gonna continue to crash our stash. So hopefully you guys will join me for that. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure you give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. And if you're not already, I would really love for you to subscribe and join our crafty little family. Remember, you can check in the description below for links to all our socials. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.